Okay, we'll call to order the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Pension Board of Trustees regular meeting Thursday, October 8th, 2015 at 1800 hours. Trustee Aronson, will you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Flag right there.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the record show that all trustees are present. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? I'm good. Okay, motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Review the July 9th, 2015 pension regular meeting minutes. Motion to approve as printed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first new business item is the second quarter allocation report. This is just for our information.
There's no action is required on that.
Any questions from any of the trustees on the report?
No. No, thank you.
Okay, next item will be the January 2015 actuarial report.
And with the actuarial report, that is designed to tell you whether or not the amount budgeted for this year will be adequate for maintaining the soundness of the plan. And if you jump down to page 5, that's got the summary that does kind of spell out what the actuarial position is this year as compared with 2 years ago.
Shows our ratio at 124% and the current level of contributions are adequate.
Right, that's correct. So it's actually increased from 119% to 124%. So we're actually continuing to essentially overfund the account. The amount that is invested, however, is the amount that gets us the maximum matching contribution from the state, which is why we continue to put that in up until now. So, and I would recommend that we go ahead and continue to do that for the foreseeable future, just in case we have a major market correction.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like we're going to go here. That will be included in the budget for next month when we
Okay.
have the hearing and then the final adoption.
Okay.
It is in the draft budget, but between now and, we don't have to do anything to it until December when we put the
Okay.
Okay, everybody good on that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that'll take us to the LPPA contact authorization form.
Right, so, and I think you have that
Yeah.
there? Okay, so there's one change to the contact authorization form. We have made an offer to a new administrator now that Marie is retiring, and she's scheduled to start in a little under 2 weeks, and that's Jane Bales. So we have included her as the contact for 2016 on that. And that will, I believe, take a motion to approve both myself and Director Rogers as contacts for eligibility, and Jane Bales as the contact for administrative questions for the budget.
So if we don't approve, that means Marie has to stay.
Okay, for the record, I'd entertain a motion designating the following as LPPA contacts. Jane Bales for allocation report contact, contributions contact, and GASB 68 contact, and actuarial evaluation contact. William McLaughlin and Mike Rogers as member eligibility contacts, including grants access to the employer reporting system, pension plan amendment contact, and plan expense contact.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. That will take us, is there any other new business from trustees?
Just one thing I'd point out as a clarification on there, it mentions GASB 68 on there.
I'm sorry?
GASB 68 is mentioned in that. That's a new item that has come up that essentially will now mean that all of the pensions are going to have to be reported on our annual audit, which we met with the accountant, Director Schwartzen, and myself, and Marie met with the accountant a couple of days ago, and that is going to add additional expense to the audit. And what we will be looking at in that budget is actually having the expense for auditing the pension borne by the pension plan rather than coming out of the district's general budget. So that's just a notice, a clarification on what the GASB 68 is referring to there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, that'll take us to old business. The one item we need to discuss is an update on the trustee election.
Yes, and we did, we ended up with the 2 nominations for the existing trustees, but we have not conducted the election yet. So we'll go ahead and get that going. In the past, that was done at membership meetings just as a show of hands, but we are going to have to go ahead and send out postcards to the retirees as well. Unfortunately, I missed a couple of membership meetings during the summer, so we didn't have a chance to hold that election. We'll make sure that that gets done at the next membership meeting coming up.
Because you'll send out postcards telling them there's an election coming up.
Well, they'll have the chance to vote by email or postcard, one or the other. We've got a handful of people out there that still don't even have email, so they never respond back, but we do have to send it to them.
All right.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Good. Sweet. Any other old business? Any other business to be brought before the pension board? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At 18:12. Okay, we'll call to order the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board of Directors regular meeting Thursday, October 8th, 2015 at 18:16 hours. Director Wisniewski, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and let the record show that all board members are present. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No. Good. A motion to approve as printed?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, review the September 10th, 2015 regular meetings.
Move the minutes be submitted, approved as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that'll take us to financial matters. First item will be July's financials.
We are more or less caught up. Still waiting for some September figures. So you have before you the expenses to approve for July and August. The expenses now include both our general fund and the SURF program expenses. Money that we expend for deployments, and of course we get revenue back, which is certainly exceeds the expenses. But total expenses for July were $209,944, and I move that those expenses be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to August. Similarly, the same arrangement we have for August. Our expenses in August were $202,347.97, and I move those expenses be approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. And we'll
September, then, or do you have?
well, we're going to defer the September until we get what the bank account figures.
It's actually from the billing company.
From the what?
From the billing company for the transport.
Oh, for the
So we don't have the ambulance transport revenue showing in the September financials at this time.
Is that later than normal?
It is, they've actually made a change in their procedure, which I think is going to cause a little bit of a delay because I can't anticipate figures until I get them from them and confirm them with what I show. So it's just kind of a reverse process of what it used to be. It actually is a little more efficient, but while they're working through the kinks of it, I think it might cost a little bit.
So we may be deferring, we may be 1 month behind in terms of these.
You know, what you also can do is approve in the future, if you want, you can approve expenses, but you would not be able to approve the write-offs, which are included in the expenses. So you're not getting full
We'll talk
picture.
about that.
Yeah, so you can,
Um, 2015 amended budget, set a hearing for that, and I guess we also have to set a hearing for the 2016 draft budget. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we do have the draft budget for the first draft budget for 2016 included in your packets. And I can provide you a brief review on that. We'll have to set the public hearing for that, which has to be done during the month of November. So I would recommend that be set at the date of the regular board meeting for November. But I can go ahead and give you kind of a brief rundown on the first draft of the 2016 budget first. We did get preliminary numbers from Jefferson and Park County on assessments, and it looks like the assessed value of Park County went up about, our portion of Park County went up about 3%, and the assessed value of our portion of Jefferson County went up about 13%. However, those numbers,
Gosh.
even though, there was, and we were not on the high end of that. Other parts of Jefferson County saw increases of in excess of 20%. So we were kind of on the outside of the Denver metro boom, but it was the first time in 6 years that we've actually not been losing money during assessments each year. So it reversed a 6-year downward trend as the market finally caught up. But those numbers won't be finalized until December, even though you really don't have time to consider that in a public hearing. The public hearing has to be done before the final numbers are actually available for the budget, but we'll basically set that when we get those final numbers from each of the counties. We also have seen a continued increase in the specific ownership taxes, which is primarily vehicle registration, the money that we get from that. And we are looking at pretty similar numbers for all of our other revenues going in this year. I would expect the ambulance revenues to be going up a little bit, but it's actually looking like they're staying relatively flat right now from last year. And I suspect there's a couple things at play there. One being that while we're running more transports, we seem to be continuing to have more of those transports end up as Medicaid or Medicare, which will provide a much lower return than private insurance. So that may be part of that. I think it'll be when we get closer to the end of the year, we'll have kind of better numbers on the ambulance transports. But I think relatively speaking, we're going to see that stay flat over from last year to this year and project to do so next year. Everything in the budget is pretty much very similar to what we have in this year's budget, with a couple of areas that we'll want to discuss. One being, we may want to consider our staffing levels for paramedics going into next year. We started with adding one floater position, which we only had filled for part of this year because of employee turnover. We're still working on trying to get that position back in. We may look at putting in a second position going into next year. We ended up we're going to end up with over 60,000 in overtime that's not attributable to wildland response this year, which is up from last year. And we may want to look at whether or not we can keep that number from continuing to grow. With our call volume increasing, we've been running into additional need for either calling back personnel or having them fill for vacant positions. So that's one of the numbers that we're going to have to discuss going in next year. Coming down the other kind of big items going into next year. For this year, I did include the capital expense of the construction project, and we're even with that. We're looking at ending this year still with a little over 1.1 million in reserves. In next year, we've got a couple of other capital projects coming up. One is going to be replacing the Ford ambulance, which is included in that draft budget. And then we also have included funding for replacing the antenna tower up at Station 3. And that, we had looked at trying to decrease the load on the antenna by essentially telling all the partners that have antennas up there that we would essentially evict them, so as to continue running with an old antenna but with a less load on it, which could get it back down under the allowable limits. But the word I got back from the other agencies was that they would be willing to put money up to pay for that. So I included the cost of putting the antenna up in here, but did not include the cost share that we would get from them, because we still have to negotiate that. So while there's an $85,000 number in there for that antenna, I would expect that we would not be paying more than 50% of that cost. So that's that's still something that we will have to kind of negotiate with those other groups prior to finalizing that budget. That's essentially where the draft budget sits right now. And again, we'll have a lot more accurate numbers as we get closer to the end of the year.
Is that antenna issue tied in with the new communication system? Or is that just an upgrade that we need to make?
Well, it's both. What happened was, the engineer came out and looked at the antenna to determine whether or not it would be feasible to utilize that as part of the new system, and sent back a thing saying, you guys are overloaded already. This is what the standards are, and what you need to do to meet them. There's a handful of things that kind of tie together with that, one being the proposal that we've been working with IREA to have them move equipment up there. The horse evacuation volunteer group that works with us during wildfires has asked to put an antenna up, and we've told them that they can't at this point. So there's a bunch of things that are kind of all tied together on that. What it looks like, and we still haven't gotten the proposal from the engineers on the wide area system, but it looks like we would probably have the microwave paid for under that system, but the tower will probably have to come up with funding separately for. And that's, again, going to be between us, the Amateur Radio Association, the ISP folks that rent space from us, and IREA.
Okay.
So what we need is a motion to set the hearing, the public hearing for on November 12th for both the budget amendment for 2015 and for public hearing on the proposed 2016 regular budget.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then you'll send out all of the notices, all right, anything else on the budget sheet?
That's all this time.
Any budget questions? Okay, that'll take us to your report.
Okay, and before I get started with the report, I do want to introduce our fire marshal, Shelley, if she could just.
Introduce myself.
Yes.
I'm Shelley Hunter, the new fire marshal, and I'm glad to be here. I'll look forward to seeing you in the office or around, and please introduce yourself and tell me your name again so I can get familiar with your name and face. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and Chief Ware is on vacation this week, so just a little bit that I can cover of his part of the report. We did have 98 calls in September, including a couple of fires that ended up, including about $87,000 in fire loss. One structure fire and an RV fire. The RV fire unfortunately happened at the same time we were trying to do a chopper go for a motorcycle accident, and then I believe there was another call that went on immediately thereafter too. So things got a little busy there for a while. We've been seeing about the same numbers, again 98 calls for the month. We had aid from Platte Canyon 7 times. And Evergreen Fire 1 time, and we provided mutual aid to Platte Canyon 3 times, and Evergreen Fire once. I don't have the staffing and training reports because he did not have time to finish those before he left on vacation. Moving on to our current issues, the rescue pumper is now pushed back another month, so it'll be sometime in November at this point. However, we have seen pictures of the rescue pumper being built, so I think they're actually going to deliver it at some point.
It's not a phantom.
Not a phantom, yeah. And it's looking really good. Right now, it should be about sometime around mid-November. We'll do the inspection on it, and I think we're going to have them drive this one back rather than trying to arrange that ourselves. But would probably be a little easier on our schedule right now, freeing up people to drive it back. They have finished the demolition upstairs, and they have started actually putting things together, although so far it's still off to a fairly slow start, but they are working on it. And, we still don't have a schedule from them. I think we're still waiting on a couple of the subcontractors to get their schedules in, so we're kind of just going to have to wing it for a while as far as anticipated completion on that. The other kind of big news we had talked about, that it looked like we were going to be getting a grant for from the FEMA for the Community Wildfire Protection Plan process, and we did in fact receive an award on that grant, and we have started that process. We're interviewing candidates for that specialist position tomorrow, and hopefully that position will be filled within the next couple of weeks. And that position will be funded 95% by FEMA, 5% by the district, and it's a position for 2 years to help with that process and to do community public relations work, education on wildfire mitigation, and some of the other projects that we'll be working on with that. So that's going to be really an exciting project, and really happy to be getting that person on board. Again, we did get a job offer out for administrator, and we're also coming up on interviews this month for the vacant paramedic position. So we should have that filled before the end of the year, although it's probably going to be close to December by the time that position is filled again. And that's all I have this evening.
Yes.
Is there any update about the church retreat application?
There's no new news on that, so there was a public hearing on it. Unfortunately, I was out of town the day that they had the public hearing. My understanding is that most of the public response was in opposition to it, but then that went back to the county, and we have not heard whether the county has decided to grant that zoning change or not.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Okay, that'll take us into new business. We have one item. I would like to move that the district board adjourn into an executive session to discuss personnel matters under Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024F. Is there a motion? or a
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will suspend the regular business meeting and adjourn into executive session.